G'day, freedom lovers. How are all you wonderful blokes and Sheilas out there? How's a nice big sips for Friday? Thank God it's Friday, eh? Tasty beverage at the end of the hard-earned thirst of a day. I may have copyrighted that, stolen that from somewhere along the lines. Where would I have heard such a thing? I can't think, but maybe I'm a victim of advertising. Who knows? Anyway. Share screen. So today, obviously, if you read the title, we've got Heidi with us. She's going to share a little bit about you can't take the egg out of a cake once it's baked. A little bit about narcissism and personality disorders and the cycle of domestic violence. So, we had a crack at other mental stuff, the other week. It didn't quite work out as well as I would have liked. But look, them's the breaks. Things don't always work out the way you like them. But we'll have another crack at doing the men's mental health side of things at another show on narcissism. G'day, Jake. How you going, mate? Good to see you there. So anyway, without further ado, let's get this show on the road and bring the wonderful Heidi Ward in. How are you, Heidi?
Good evening. Happy Friday. Sips as well.
For sure.
Yeah, the things we do on a Friday night these days.
Well, so you can't afford to go out. Straight the price of a beer these days. You can buy half a carton, So
I was in Brisbane the other day, $29 for a large glass of wine.
Straight. That's madness. That's madness. Yeah, so not even the good stuff. So yeah, exactly. What's our motivation to go out in the world and deal with these people who are just robbing us blind? I brew my own beer, so it's like $5-6 a carton for me. I can't even buy a beer for that. So yeah, it's any wonder we're all sitting around doing podcasts and socializing in this way. I couldn't even afford the petrol to come down and see you if my back could handle the car ride all the way down there. I don't know. There's only one way to find out, I guess. But Yeah. Anyway, well, look, thanks for coming on. You've come to the rescue. Unfortunately, the guest we had planned was unable to make it. So thank you very much for coming into the rescue and being there on call for us. But this book sounds very interesting. And as we were discussing earlier, the comparative nature of narcissism and the behavioral elements that we can drag into so many facets of society, which we will get into eventually. But let's start with, I guess, what's the book? How long have we got to wait to get a copy, and what motivated you to get it going?
I guess I've been going to publish it for a long time, so it's in the process. I'm hoping to get it out in the next month. One thing I will say, it's not gender specific. It's a pathological pattern, so it's neither male nor female. And I've really come across, sort of put in the back burner, it was a lived experience. I went on and, no, I don't have a degree, but I went on and did an associate diploma in criminology, criminal justice psychology, and counselling after my lived experience. And I sort of put that behind me, and times passed. And what I've really faced is the very court system itself is narcissistic. You go in there, stand up, sit down, do this, do that. You go to ask a question, you get screamed at, yelled at. There's no natural justice. Literally, if that was inside a house environment or any other environment, that would be abuse. What, not so much in the higher courts, but in the lower courts, definitely. You go in there and you're a criminal, you're guilty, and to me, and I'll say it outright, that a lot of the magistrates are completely unhinged, like to the point that they don't even remember what you said 5 minutes ago. They don't even understand the legislation. You argue them the legislation, and they don't know. And it's quite frightening, because the minute you ask a question and you say, well, if I can bring you to your attention, yada, yada, yada. No, we're not having this.
Oh, we've got a glitch in
You
the
can see that eye
matrix.
contact, and they essentially start yelling at you. And I believe it's to do with your subconsciousness to fear you into what I believe is the contract.
Well, and we've lost Heidi. That is a bit rough. Okay. Darren, I notice you've decided to jump in the background. I might add you to the stage. Are you ready to rock, Darren? Can you maybe get your mic ready, because it says it's unmuted? Maybe you can come in and quickly help us while we wait for Heidi to come back in. So anyway, look, what we were discussing while we wait to see if Darren's able to pop in there. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, got you back, I think.
She's back. I just
Yeah.
noticed Darren's popped into the background here too. I'm not sure if he's just watching from the background, but if you would like to pop in at some time, just unmute your mic and let us know, buddy.
Is that back in the right spot?
Nearly there.
I'm gonna work out where to sit. I'm not very good at all this. Is that okay?
No, that looks good. We're good.
All right.
Awesome.
So what I've really noticed is that they really shift your subconscious. You see, like, maybe potentially some big burly guys sitting out in the waiting room for whatever offence they're facing. They've got tats everywhere. Wait till I get in there. The minute they walk in there, they get yelled at, and they literally turn into little boys being scared. And I haven't found anywhere in the legislation that says you have to stand, you have to sit, and if you don't, it's contempt of court.
Yeah.
That's coercive control. You do what I say when I say it, because I'm the authority on an alleged charge.
Yeah.
And it's quite frightening, knowing that I've written a book about these pathological patterns. But I guess what brought me to today is, I've got a lot going on in the court. I don't deny that. I'm trying my best, trying for everybody, trying for myself. And there's a gentleman that has a page called Freedom Delusional. His name is Rob Sudi, and he professes to be the pseudo encyclopedia of Australia or internationally. And literally in the last week, he has infiltrated any page I'm on. He's infiltrated, when I say, up to 9 posts a day, slamming me. Delusional Freeman Delusion.
Freeman Delusion.
To the point of obsession and harassment. And he's
Mm.
pulling about part my cases without the proper context to it. Now, how I came across Rob Sudi was someone said he'd posted an article about me in regards to a private prosecution that I had.
Mm.
And what he wrote about me was not wrong in the first instance, but he didn't see the follow-up of it at what actually happened. So this private prosecution was actually stayed, and the magistrate ordered or ordered submissions as to $4,000 something worth of costs, because a state order in private prosecution actually didn't have any legislation to be able to order costs. So I came back and said, well, if there's no legislation to order costs, you can't order costs. The defendant conceded, the court conceded, no costs were ordered. And then the last week, he's literally written up that I'm frivolous and vexatious and I owe all this money. I haven't won anything in court. Obviously, I've got my legal service commissioner stuff going on. And he's just saying I'm frivolous and vexatious and I'm this sovereign citizen.
Mm.
And
Let's
it's
unpack that term, sovereign citizen, now that you've
yeah.
brought it up, because, like, I think it's important. It gets flung around all the time, particularly from those in the more mainstream sort of media thing. And obviously, this fella here is doing the same thing. He's using a nonsensical garbage term. Would you like to put your 2 cents on how it's basically an oxymoron?
Well, we've got to wonder who the sovereign is first, and we have to go back to, there's a lot of things we can go back to who the actual sovereign is. The sovereign are the people that gave sovereignty to the king. It's not the crown, completely different entity. But a sovereign citizen is an oxymoron, which is the cliche that we all use. But at the end of the day, they're the sovereign citizens because they're acting as the crown under the oath of allegiance to the king, which again is a separate entity in my belief. And they're the citizens. So aren't we residents of the Commonwealth under the 1900 Constitution is the place that we go. So are we sovereigns? Are we citizens? Are they sovereigns and citizens? It's literally, do you remember when the word sick came into play? You used to be
It's fully
sick.
sick, mate. It's fully sick.
You used to be sick.
Check out my
And sick
Monaro.
meant that
Fully
you were
sick, bro.
sick. So all of a sudden now, when something's sick, it means it's cool.
Mm.
And this is how the interpretation of stuff changes. And this sovereign citizen is just an interpretation to label and put people in boxes to make them. It's actually discrimination.
Yes, I would be
I
inclined
call
to
it
agree.
bigotry, putting somebody in a class system and degrading them for that. So he in himself was the biggest sovereign citizen, so he claims, and he lost everything and potentially went to jail. I don't know. From what I gather, you can't find too much on him. And a particular judge set him on his way and changed his mind, and now he's the encyclopedia of pseudo law internationally, which is a bit of a delusion of grandeur, which is one of the pathological patterns of a narcissist.
Yeah. So I want to. So does he identify as an encyclopedia? Is this where we're going? Is this
Yeah. So on that
an
page, if you
identical
go in, he
crisis amongst
says,
their perhaps?
you can Google it.
Yeah. So let's have a look.
If you go delusional, you go into about Rob Sudi, and you can pay a subscription of $250 a year to get his amazing studies. And he says he sits with professors, and he's got all these people behind him. I didn't actually send you a picture of him. Not that it
No.
really matters, because I'm not discriminatory. What I'm upset about, because it's not just me, he jumps on all these pages. He'll basically put your name in and jump on, and literally he goes straight into devaluation and bullying. Now, how I got into this was not how I expected to get into this. I was running a pretty much bubble life until I was falsely arrested, and I didn't have a spare $50,000 in the bank to fight for my charges. And that's just, and eventually I went, well, I can't afford this. Justice. I can't afford this, and I'll have to do it myself, which meant I had to learn, which you have to put in. So we're not always going to get it right as self-representatives but I guess where I changed in what I believed in, excuse me, 2 seconds. Pip, can you grab the dog? Yep. Thank you. So, was we got control. I had a business, this experiment, and all of a sudden, what I saw as a white picket fence, I did everything right. I paid my bills, I did everything, and all of a sudden, this one day, I went, "Can I trust these people?" So, of course, I questioned what was going on in the courtroom, which is being yelled at and screamed at, not allowed to speak, things being manipulated, changed. And of course, you go down a different path and you open your eyes and you see something different. Rob became like the preacher of now, he's the most perfect guy in the world.
Right.
And he loves his rules and his standards and his ego and delusions of grandeur that he's some sort of international star. If you actually go on to our council's real website, which he runs, on
Okay, so he's got a
average, he
few
gets.
websites running.
Hmm?
So he's got a few websites running.
Yeah, he does.
Council's real.
I have been
Man,
told that the
must have a
government.
lot of money to fund all these websites.
I have been told the government funds them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a theory there. So is that ourcouncilsreal.com or?
Yeah. So that's Facebook. Our council's real. So he brings
Oh,
in
it's
all
a
the people.
Facebook thing, is it? It's not an
Yeah.
actual web page.
Yeah, and he says he's got 4,300 members, but you can scroll back through. He gets 1 or 2 likes, maybe 8. When I'm on board, he might get a few more. But literally, then if he doesn't get a reaction there, he just infiltrates into, like, we've got a Whitsunday People's Council, comes in there, and he just slanders, devalues it. It's like he's celebrating, ha ha ha, I've got you, you're this, you're that. And then all of a sudden he goes, I'm turning off the comments on the people on the council page. You need to answer me in 15 14 minutes. But he's turned off the comments and then he goes, oh, you're banned for a week and that'll teach you, right? Like he's really important, like some delusion of grandeur.
Yeah. So our council rates legal, it seems to be the page.
Yeah.
You bring this one up. So,
and most people go on to it for a different reason. So he's done it in
I
order
love
to.
the professionalism of this, like it looks really classy, doesn't it?
Well, he's using examples of other people that are posting stuff, and he literally lures them in and then makes a mockery of them. He
So
enjoys
it does seem to be 4,500 odd members, but as you
but have a
say,
look how many
one
likes
comment,
there are.
one share, couple of, a bit of a laugh and a like, so it doesn't seem to be getting much reach.
Oh, no, but when he emails you, I've got an international audience, I'm reaching how many thousands of people, yada, 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 whatever. But the bottom line is, it seems that he's not getting the attention on his own page, or he's trying to entrap people, potentially, I'm going to say, which is why I've been very careful. And I do know some people that may have got into trouble, potentially for falling for this man's bait, because then he can say anti-terrorism and all this sort of stuff. But, he's targeted me, and, I'd like to know how many thousands of cases are heard every day in our courts that are ruled this or ruled that, or people lose, people win, people, trials and tribulations of the court system. Why he's so desperately focusing on me. It is out of control.
Well, Darren here is saying that he has fake accounts, so it appears he has many supporting his position. Now, that would be one hell of a job to make up 4,500 profiles to like your own page. I mean, if that is,
I don't doubt that he's lured.
I mean, there's probably a lot of people who brought in, but possibly the comments, possibly the say, will we go through and see the same people, liking.
Look, someone contacted me last night from it and said he joined it for the obvious reasons, and then he saw what a shit show of a thing was, because the way because everyone wants to know, are they legal? When you're coming from our ground, so he's drawing them in, and as far as I believe, he's got Stephen Bates, Doug Lamb, John O'Neill, Graham Thompson. They're all Facebook sites that comment on his posts. No one else does.
Oh, we lost you again. I'll just quickly bring this one. I like this post here. Our council rates legal, and then all the comments are from himself. That's a good one. You know, he didn't even use a fake profile then. So anyway, yeah, a very interesting individual here. So I'd be curious to know if any other people have, you know, had any dealings with Mr. Robert Sudi. He's a unique individual by the look of things. Can't say I know much about him myself. I'm getting an education here, and
Oh, you
Heidi's
see
back
it just
yet again.
dropped out again.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
old
anyone
internet.
back? So there's an experience that's twice now. Anyway, you can only assume. And now I'm the wrong
That's
way
it.
again.
These things happen.
Yep. So anyway, like he's literally got the pathological pattern of delusions of grandeur that he's made an encyclopedia. I'm going the wrong way. Encyclopedia. And he literally throws tantrums and goes, like on our wits on a blah, 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 put me back on now. And it just doesn't stop. So I've sat back and I've waited. I've watched
Oh, sorry.
narcissistic
Well,
people
you paused.
because of their
Sorry, you paused
rage.
there.
Hey,
You paused for a second there. We just lost what you were saying. Sorry.
that's weird. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just typical of a bad signal. So, did you want to bring in some of the bloody things he said?
Yeah, so he said that I was an ex-stripper and I'm now providing delicious adult entertainment. He'd love to whisper in my ear. He's told
Wow.
me that, yeah, he's literally almost insinuated that I'm crazy. There's so much that it just goes backwards and
Oh, looks like we've paused again. So, you know, here's one of the ones you sent us here. You know, where he's kind of trying to make the bait, get you to take the bait. Whole 7 comments and apparently 3 likes. And we've lost Heidi again. Another one she sent through, you know, I decided to unsuspend you to give you a right of reply on the actual points substantiated here. Actual points substantiated here with evidence. Okay, this is interesting. So he appears to have blocked you or constantly, and now he's decided that isn't it nice of him that he has decided to unsuspend you so that you can have a right to reply, which is, as I understand it, is part of the Telecommunications Act. You have the right to reply.
well, that's part of a pathological.
Nope, and we've lost Heidi again. Oh no, we're not having much luck here today, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. But that's the breaks. So if you choose to instead go off with ad hominem personal attack on me or anyone else here, may merely pointing to the words of actual decisions. Sorry, I've got delusions on my mind now. Sorry. Hey, hello again, Heidi. The suspension will resume.
So I'm not being egotistical because I play what I'm just trying to unpack what's going on because I've seen so many inconsistencies in the matters that I never ever wanted to be in front of. So when he says it's this, it's delusional, it's this and that, I've been in matters where I didn't consent and I wouldn't play the game. I've been in matters where Justice Crowe and Justice Farr said I'm the most intelligent self-represented litigant that they've had before them. Not that it really helped me, but you know, I've been commended by these people. I'll try to move it that way. Is that better? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm holding it now. I think that thing that was holding it. Oh, hang on, in the wrong spot. Can't even work it out.
How about we'll make it a bit easier for you, give you a wider frame to play with.
Anyway, you know I'm not good at this stuff. But anyway, so he's literally just keeps harping on that I'm this sovereign citizen and I'm delusional and I'm frivolous and vexatious. And you know, sometimes I might bring something to court because I believe something. The court might say it's frivolous and vexatious. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean you need to be bullied.
We've lost
Maybe
Heidi again. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you dropped out for a second there again. We said, I don't know, is there perhaps another position in the house that you might get a better signal maybe? I'm not like,
I've got Starlink and try. I've never had a problem before.
because like we're losing like quality of picture and the sound's dropping in and out. You're dropping in and out, which to me suggests we've got a weak connection.
All right. I don't think.
Well, we lost the connection. I did like Mark McDonald here has said he's also seen Sudi about on constitutional type pages for years, and yes, he does seem to have delusions of grandeur. This is according to Mark. Personally, I say I don't know the bloke, but you know, like looking at some of this stuff, it does seem that Heidi's assessment may be somewhat accurate there. Also, don't seem to have Darren here either now. Hello again, Heidi.
Yes, that should work now. That's back on the house Wi-Fi.
All right, cool.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. All good. Whatever works for you.
All right, back. Yeah, so basically it comes down to this guy. Can you hear me now?
Yep. All good.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Check
Yeah.
1 2, check 2, check 2. Test eagles. Watch out for the test eagles.
Test eagles. Eagles are flying.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so oh God. Hang on, what am I doing? So yeah, I'm just gonna hold it this way, all right? So basically he's just literally showed a lack of empathy to anyone that goes into the court system and tries to do their best. And you know, I go in there, he's labeled one event where I tried something that I'm a sovereign citizen, but in actual fact, you know, I think that I'm making huge headway in the court system. I put a strikeout in for the Legal Services Commission last Friday, 21st, and I actually turned the court into a court of equity. And I said that the someone in the room was acting in executed dis on tort, means an trustee without permission.
Right.
It was very fascinating to see the reaction of that judge. Didn't like it very much. And then I raised Anderson.
What kind of reaction? Like, what's her face telling you? Like, she start dripping with sweat, like a stunned mullet. Like, you know, what did we get there?
Well, that would be my opinion. But what she did do was had to adjourn it to go away and think about it for an hour, which it was a basic application. And the Legal Service Commission made 20 mistakes. They brought about an application under the in less than 1 day, which is supposed to be 3 business days and a day either side of that. And then they kept making mistakes, and it was just completely overlooked. And when I raised them, it was water off a duck's back. Now, I've had private prosecution struck out because a JP had the wrong date on it, like a slip. And doesn't seem to matter. But it was my belief she didn't appear okay. And I guess the double-edged sword there is that no judgment's actually been made, no public judgment. It's not in public interest. And I did raise a High Court precedent the public. It doesn't say we, the public, for the public, by the public, does it? It says we, the people, by the people, for the people. It doesn't say public. And the only people that are public servants.
Oh,
Commonwealth.
Having technical issues again. Sorry, now you're back.
You're not the public.
Yeah.
So I guess Robert Sudi's showed every pathological pattern. You can Google it, the DSM-5 Medical Journal International Pathological Patterns of what a narcissistic psychopath is. And when they don't get what they want, they don't care. They will make cartoons about you. Did you get that picture? Making cartoons, imposing my face into someone else's body with memes coming out of it. Like, if this guy actually wanted to change something and actually bring people back into what he's trying to deliver, he'd approach it in a much more sympathetic way. He's showing childish behaviour, and childish behaviour doesn't mean a lack of. It means a lack of maturity, as in you're not sensitive, you don't have manners, you're not respectful, and you're not open to communication. You just slander people and say it's my way or the highway.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that cartoon one you're referring to. Sorry, just checking through everything.
You can go on the page; it's on there.
The page is in the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Man, this guy posts a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, there's that one.
Yeah, it's like a smear campaign, which is another pathological pattern. He's trying to smear me, trying to run me down. If I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake. It doesn't mean you get to bully and harass. It almost is like he's jealous or threatened or something. It's bizarre behaviour because it's non-stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, he seems to have, as you were stating earlier, he had a crack at it and fucked up in some way, and now he's got it out for anybody else who's saying the same thing. Perhaps there's some sort of victimhood in there as well. Like, I mean, I'm no psychotherapist, but I've been having a chat with a few friends recently about mental health issues and whatnot for various different camps and ideas and whatnot, and the whole idea of a trauma, it seems to be a big factor into people diving into obsessive compulsive behavior, for instance. And this seems to be somewhat of the same nature, like
well, he claims to be the sovereign citizen.
So I mean, and again, the fact that he said I was the biggest sovereign citizen almost seems to suggest that he didn't quite understand what he was doing in the first place, because as we know, the term sovereign citizen is stupid. So yeah, I'm seeing a trauma here, and I'm starting to feel I feel sorry for this guy.
Judge, I'm not going to name them. Set him on his way. You can read it on his page, and potentially he's friends with them. Still, he claims that he sits with the professors from the universities. Just Google a picture of him, and you tell me whether the university professors would be sitting with him. And other times he's like, I'm sitting at a resort. I can't be bothered with your stuff. I'm this. He just makes up projection. What narcissists do is they project. So delusional freedom. He's the delusional guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that is delusional. He's I guess the last chapter of 1980.
Oh, we've lost her again. Are you there, Darren? How you going, mate? Don't know if you can see or hear us. You seem to be dropping in and out a little bit. Yourself said to be having trouble. Is my friend the? Hang on.
Are you there?
Heidi back. Yep. How you going? I can hear you. There we are. Wonder if I got my friend Officer Plodman's drone flying over again.
No. It's mine. Give me 2 secs. It keeps going on to.
Hello, Darren.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Quite good. Hello, Heidi.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back. For now. Hopefully it stays that way. And yes, Queensland surveillance drone P3 is still circling around my house, as it seems to do nearly every day. So that could be a contributing factor. Who knows?
No. We just put in Starlink. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, we just put in Starlink. So the Wi-Fi from the house down to the property down the end of my driveway is obviously having competitions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Nothing like technology trying to run sporting events in the backyard. It's horrible. Yeah.
So I guess what he's doing is triangulating. It's the classic Wizard of Oz, the flying monkeys. He's actually got all these fake profiles where I assume he's talking to himself because he's not getting much coverage, saying he's an international this and that. So I sat back and I waited, and I watched him publicise all these things about me, which one were a manipulation of the truth without knowing. He sees one piece of paper. He doesn't know what the ongoing process is before or after peel otherwise, because some of them are private prosecutions, so they can't be published. And I just snapped him one right in the, well, Bob's a dick, don't be a Bob. 102F of the Justices Act says you cannot publicise private prosecutions, anything. And he has published at least 60 times. So I went back and I said, Rob, it's 4 penalty points, 6 months imprisonment for every time you've published that. He came back in a heartbeat and goes, oh, my barristers will soak up the costs and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, do you have a barrister on standby, do you? The minute the barrister sees the snapshots I've got of your stuff, they'll run a mile. You know what? He's disappeared. He's gone nowhere. There's nothing. He's not made a comment on anything because he's actually, he's actually wrong. He's actually, he's following the rules saying how great he is, and he's actually breached legislation in a big way.
That's pretty sad. So are you perhaps thinking of, addressing that matter in some fashion?
Well,
Perhaps
it's very hard to
reporting him for
find
what he's
him. I've
done?
heard he works at a police station. I don't know. Two wrongs don't make a right. Could I be bothered?
Yeah.
Right. I think today just exposing him for what it is probably, I'd rather that than has he committed a crime. He's just a dick. Right.
Yeah.
Rob, Bob, don't be a dick. But it just goes to show that the system is that system. And the biggest thing I find really hard with the system is it's all about money. The whole thing's about money. So if you've got money to get the greatest lawyer in the world, you've got potential to win. If you've got no money, then you haven't got any chance almost whatsoever against the state. If it was Mary versus Kate, it's a bit different. But when you're against the state, what do you do?
There's definitely, a bit of a problem there. But like, could you perhaps describe some of the key elements of narcissistic behaviour, and maybe a way to sort of identify?
Yeah, so the handbook that I'm actually writing is really a handbook. It's just to give people a really basic insight. There's a predator, someone that is after you.
Yeah.
Then you have they have rules and standards. They blame shift. They're self-rewarding ego. They devalue you. They manipulate you. They project. They turn things into word salad. They've got delusions of grandeur. They lack empathy. They can't put themselves in your place. They're jealous, and they love to run people down. They thrive on the demise of other people. And that's
Pretty
just
sad.
a couple. Yeah. They have object constancy, which is really they always see it as someone else's fault and someone else has done this and that. They can't communicate. They only attack. Yeah, it's an internal thing.
It seems a lot like our political structure in a lot of ways too. Particularly when you're coming from like the woke leftists who are constantly creating, I guess the bag of insults for everybody. They don't contribute to the argument. They're not there to engage in a discussion. They're only there for mudflinging. And you flick on to Parliament time and you see the same thing going back left and right from frigging Liberal to Labor and so forth. And anybody else pops up, they just walk out of the room. They're not even there. When you see some of the great.
Would you put your children down in front of a parliament? Would you put your children down in a parliamentary meeting and watch them attack each other and say that's the way to behave, children?
God no. God no. No, it's sad. And I mean, I think the only reason it gains any attention is so that people can look at it and go, this is what's running the country. Any wonder the Chinese are sending battleships down the coast. It's a shit show.
But
You
then
know,
there is
you have to
I
wonder
can't
if
tell
they
you.
could get their shit together during the fucking, if something were to escalate, with the Chinese. Will these narcissists be able to get together, or are we going to end up with a scenario much like we found at the fall of Greece, where there's too busy playing stupid politics and everybody go, well, the Romans are at the gates, man. Maybe you want to sort this shit out. Nah, quick, get rid of Socrates. He's the problem. All these uppity ones pointing out that we're not doing our jobs. We can't have them around.
Well, there is a study when I studied that to put all the narcissism on one island and see what happens. Just put them all on one island. When they've got to survive, what will they do? Because they don't have, all the things that narcissists need. So at the end of the day, it's abuse, is what it is. When someone hounds you, when you ask them to stop, when you ask them to cease and desist, and they don't. But when you go into the court, it's the same narcissistic. There's no communication. There's really no natural justice in there. You raise that, you might get an extra 5 minutes to speak. And if you don't, you might say something that's not legally speak or whatever. They start going, rah, rah, rah. I had one incident where I think it was Justice Crowe in Mackay in the Supreme Court. He just wouldn't listen to me, and he said the king can't be held in contempt of the king's court. And I'm like, they're barristers from Brisbane, they're hardly the king. And I sat down and I said, do whatever you want. And he screamed at me and he said, you will stand before me, Miss Ward. And I said, I beg your pardon, I'm a 52-year-old woman that's been through DV, and I don't care who you are, you're not going to yell at me like that. That's abuse. And it was actually published in the paper.
Yeah.
It's been removed from the paper, but yeah, it was.
So what did they originally publish before removing it?
Yeah, that's what I said. He yelled at me, and I told him what for. Well, not what for. I told him
did they
not
just
to.
report it as, okay, the judge became abusive, Heidi Ward, wasn't going to take it? Is that the kind of reporting we got? Or was it some more of that typical bias that we would come to assume
Yeah,
from
I wouldn't sit, and then the judge had the
what a
right
naughty
reason
girl.
to that. So I guess it comes down to what is narcissism, and one of the elements of narcissism or coercive control or domestic violence is financial control. So if someone's controlling someone else's finances within a relationship, that becomes financial control. So if your only avenue in anything in the court system is to have money, so you're either below the poverty line and you get legal aid. If you're a 20 that goes to work, you're living week to week, or you might have some savings up for a holiday or whatever, and you're looking at going down the track, or something happens, some cop that's had an 8-month cadetship goes under reasonable excuse, I believe this happened, and next thing you're in front of the court, you're looking at $50,000 to $80,000 to hire a lawyer to do it.
Yeah, exactly, which is way outside of the scope of what anybody else can generally afford.
Absolutely.
That's not what you consider justice. It's liberty and justice for all who can afford it.
It's not. You cannot get justice if you've got to have a spare $50,000 and your dream is swept away. So that one reasonable suspicion of a police officer doing their duties, whatever, on the alleged charge changes the trajectory of someone's life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Changes the complete trajectory of someone's life. And there has to be more scrutiny. I'd like to see the magistrates, but not so much the high courts, but the magistrates I've dealt with, I'd like them breathalyzed and drug tested. Because I know there's a magistrate operating right now that was kicked out of her own private practice because she's a drunk.
Yeah.
And she's currently a magistrate. And I've been before her, and I would have to agree that I would kick her out of my business if that was the case. I started laughing when I walked in there. I was like, what's this? It was off the Richter.
Yeah.
So this is narcissistic abuse. Do what I say, when I do it, because I've got authority over you. Stand, sit,
And
stop, pay
much
the money.
like the wonderful trolls who have come along to live under the bridge tonight, I always like to extend a thank you to the trolls for letting us know that we've built a wonderful bridge, and it's so good. The the trolls want to live under this wonderful bridge. I mean, I hope it's providing you shelter while you sit there in your own pissed off little world. I don't know that we can do much about the river of tears that we've built the bridge over, but that's okay. That's up to you and how you guys deal with that. Just know you have my sympathy, and I hope that you find some peace
Maybe
in the world.
Rob's there.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because just the way some of this is unfolded, and it's like, it looks like somebody was running 2 fake accounts at the same time, no doubt. I have to do a little bit more digging to find out who some of those people are, and I do recognize a couple of those names from previous podcasts that I think you've been on too. So.
Yeah, it's fairly obvious. So it's about finding the proof and how much energy you want to give someone like that. But
They lack
basically, right now,
creativity.
he's liable. He's breached legislation. The very thing that he puts himself on a pedestal for being the encyclopedia for whatever, right? He's literally breached the tiniest little bit of section of the legislation, 102F of the Justices Act, and that says you cannot publish anything about a private prosecution. Hence, I never have. And on these shows, when I was spoken to, I just say I can't speak about it. You can go on my face. I've never published anything. I've got my manners. I've abided to the rules, and he is in breach big time. And if he wants to get a lawyer, he can go and get a lawyer. But he's Exhibit 11 in my commissioner case. So, maybe they might deal with him himself.
Yeah. All right, there's another little troll there.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Billy
Sorry,
Goat
I
Gruff.
just saw that.
Billy Goat Gruff just gave you the kick, mate. I know I have to refer to you guys in children's stories, to try and help educate you how this thing works.
Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall.
Under the bridge, Sydney River of Tears.
Yeah. You just wonder why they'd come onto a chat like this where we're communicating and think
How
anyone
pathetic.
was even going to take any notice.
Yeah.
I
mean, come on.
You got to laugh.
Yeah, it is. It's entertaining. I mean, thank them again for providing entertainment. I obviously, particularly in the case of these people with narcissistic tendencies, which seems to be the case here, again, being played out in the form of trolls. Yeah, it's like what was the mental trauma that's created these problems for these people? It's very concerning. It's the same with the whole woke agenda and all these other people who just need to insult and attack and spit their venom wherever they go rather than have a calm and rational conversation about it. So these people need help, and as a peace-loving human being, well, I probably shouldn't even use the word human being because that's not a proper term. Being of light, having a corporeal existence. I hope that they can resolve.
I guess it doesn't matter who you are, but you should have empathy for your fellow man. You should have sensitivity to your fellow man. You should have respect and manners. And 2 wrongs never ever make a right. And people, we all make mistakes all the time. We all try different things. It doesn't mean like, right, send you to jail. You're a bad person. Like, it's just crazy. Our kids come to us and say, hey, I made a mistake. We ride through the trials and tribulations of life, and we've all made mistakes, and we're going to make more. Guaranteed. But it doesn't mean, this dystopian, you did this, let's just put you in jail and make sure you lose everything.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. Even some of the worst criminals, I've read lots of books about, you put them in jail, they're not going to come out a better person, are they?
No, generally not. There was a kid in high school who, ended up acting up for various, there was a childhood trauma there. I'm not going to get into the full details, I hope the dude found peace in the world. But, he was fine until the childhood trauma came around, and then, breaking into cars, carrying on, doing all that sort of stuff, ended up in juvie, came out as an encyclopedia of all new ways to do it, Didn't help it. He just learnt new ways and got better friends, and I dread to think of what perhaps became of that poor individual. Again,
but had he had a good moral mental,
Well, even, if he was given the help when, okay, there's clearly a problem here, something's not right. Why is there not proper and adequate help, And as you probably finding in your neck of the woods, as we are up in our neck of the woods, the youth crime issue is going through the fucking roof. And,
Well,
will
you've got it bad up there,
system
yeah,
actually
Townsville,
fucking
yeah.
help? Yeah, it's pretty bad, and a lot of North Queensland is having that problem, And again, you've got these youth offenders. I mean, shouldn't we be trying to help them now before things hit the fan? I mean, they're already got a blatant disregard for the rest of the populace when they break into your house during the night, steal your car, and all that sort of shit.
Well,
There's
there's
clearly
a
again
there's a
mental health
double-edged
issue.
sword which you opened up with at the beginning. They can't afford anything anymore. A
Yeah.
block of cheese is worth $10.58. Like it's gotten to the point. If you don't have the skills to home cook and you don't have the skills to manage a budget at home, I don't know where you're living right now, because the average rent at the moment for a single room cabin, you're looking at $500 a week. Then
Yeah.
let's get you shopping, $250, then pay your rego, your car, your this. There's nothing left.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get through some of these comments because it looks like we may have another fucking personality disorder at play here. I'm assuming it's probably the same, potentially.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's him. Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly,
That comment's good.
yeah. So the thing is, Heidi, psychopaths and narcissists don't have the ability to have empathy. They mimic emotions to suit the situation. Yeah,
100%. That's why you can't take the egg out of a baked cake, right?
Yeah.
You just can't. They mimic, they pretend, and it's a classic. I don't know why I'm even going to bring this up, but I got hooked into watching maths while I was in Brisbane staying at someone's house the other night. And I've refused to watch it because I find it, from a psychology point of view, like damaging. And we've just watched domestic violence, cohesive control play out on national television with thousands and tens of thousands of people watching it, making comments, yes, whatever. Were they held accountable on national television? No, they weren't.
Mm.
They should have been.
Definitely.
No thing on the show. It's the individual that did it. And I'm sitting there watching it just going, how on earth is this allowed to play out like this?
Jason, name, please.
Sorry?
Yeah, Jason's made a comment there, but like they don't come up in order for us here, Jason, because we just we're getting comments from multiple platforms. So if you've identified someone as just being a pest, particularly from someone like Jason, who I know is a regular, that's when I know we're onto the right thing.
Yeah, I'm not. And that comment there, I'm not getting into the constitutional argument here, or the oath of allegiance, or Geneva Convention, or the Hague and whatever. But yeah, I do know, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the short answer.
Yeah. A lot. This really pulls at the heart of a lot of people, because potentially we make mistakes, you might end up in front of the court. Doesn't mean you have to be treated like you're the biggest pleb ever. And then there's many people that have gone in front of the court that on reasonable suspicion that didn't happen, that have to go through that whole process. And then let's say you're right, your matter gets dismissed, or you win your court case in the junior courts, in the magistrates, the administrative courts. If you want to get civil retribution, you've got to file a claim in the Supreme Court against the state of Queensland at $1,600 just to file that claim. And then you have the next 2 years of your life filing backwards forward, your defense, your this, your disclosure, all of that. By the time you get to the ADR, alternate dispute resolution, which they always do before trial, they'll let you know that the bill that's been racked up is about $300,000. And if you lose, you're going to lose that.
Thanks everybody who gave me that name too. I've that one's been removed. Keep an eye out. Surely the same pathetic predator will be back with the narcissistic tendencies we're here to describe. I'm loving the fact that they're displaying the behavior at the
They
same
can't help
time.
it.
You know?
They can't
Yeah.
help it. Because they're being triggered. Their narcissistic rage is coming out because you've identified them, and they
Palpitations, fuming,
rage and the anger
frothing at the
comes
mouth.
out. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you? You're talking about me. So
Yeah.
they say that there's a little in the back of your cortex here. There's a tiny little. I don't know if it's true, but I have done some studies on it. Whether it's true or not, science is to be questioned. Not always believing the one study. There's a tiny little piece of the left
Trust the
cortex.
science is one of the silliest things I've ever heard. You know.
Yeah. But it can be detected in a MRI scan that these people don't have empathy. So, like,
Okay.
there's even
What does that look
studies
like in an
that,
MRI?
well, it's not there. So you can't
Okay.
teach someone empathy at a later stage. Empathy is what's taught when you're growing up. It's like asking a paraplegic to get up and walk. You just can't do it. Right? It's impossible. So you have many people in the cycle of domestic violence where I'm going to fix him. I'm going to be there myself. I'm going to fix him. It's going to get better. Like if I only do this and I only do this and I only do that. And some people go between this time and this time. Sorry, I asked someone to babysit my dogs, but sorry if the noise. Anyway, so from this time to this time, some people get out quickly. Some people last, on average, 8 years is the average narcissistic cycle or domestic violence cycle, but some people stay forever.
Yeah, wow.
And it's a cycle of control. You do what I say, or this will happen, and you actually have cognitive dissonance. It's Stockholm syndrome. You don't know what you're doing at the time until you get out. But the same thing happens with us every day, going to work, paying taxes, and blah blah blah. It's a very similar psychological pattern.
Yeah.
You didn't go to work with the government, get your tax, no. But then how do you survive? Well, we've got to find a different way, don't we?
That's exactly it.
I personally love to work. I'm busy. I'm always busy. Yeah, like boring people are boring. Bored people, boring people don't get bored. Well, I got that all wrong. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Boredom sets into the boring mind, as Metallica taught me in 1991.
Yeah. Oh, I never get bored.
Like,
there's always something on.
How do you have time to be bored? What the fuck?
You don't.
You know,
it's not possible.
There's not straight. I wish I had more time. You know, that's the thing. You know, so the time's the one thing you can't get more of. How can you be bored?
The most valuable thing you have.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, let's hope Rob Sudi had a little listen to this, or his trolls, or the people under the bridge, or the Rob Land, or the Stephen Bates, because we're just everyday people that are all living the same existence, and there's no need to be nasty. There's no need to troll, harass, devalue people because they have a different opinion. And as far as the sovereign citizen, that's just a bullshit name because it doesn't make any sense anyway. Shows exactly there's apprehended development there if you actually believe that. And at the end of the day, mate, fuck off and leave me alone. Find someone else or something else better to do. Take up painting, make some home brew. I really couldn't
Teach
give a
yourself
shit.
guitar.
Mate.
You know,
like guitar. You can do that on YouTube. Yeah.
That's it, you know. They're pretty cheap down at Cashies. That's where I got my first guitar. It's a wonderful place to start. You know, maybe you can do a bit of soul searching when you start writing your lyrics, and you can psychoanalyze yourself in the process. I found it very therapeutic myself. Recommendations to all the trolls out there trying to help you guys.
Rob. He's the Rob rap. Rob's the fuckwit.
Rob. That's perhaps you venting there. I think that's diving into your psychological.
No, it's just a bit of a dig, you know. You're like, just why bother? Rob, go out to dinner. Take your girlfriend out for dinner. Buy her a rose. Go for a swim. Go to the beach. Take your dog for a walk, mate. Get a fucking life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's it. It's one hell of a dedication to achieving fuck all, really. You know, other than giving us a talking point for narcissism, he hasn't really achieved a great deal.
Well, I don't know
So-
what he's achieved. I don't know anything about him, but he only gets 2 or 3 likes on his own page. So, being that he's the encyclopedia, it's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if I had that many bloody, followers, then there'd be a hell of a lot more likes. It's true.
Yeah.
263
Well, there'd be
comments.
more
going on,
interaction,
right?
wouldn't there?
Yeah, exactly. There's always a lot of interaction when we do one of these shows. Good or bad, there's a lot of interaction. Where he's not getting anything. I mean, obviously, anybody who's questioned him has been blocked or shut up or silenced, and these people just haven't had the sense to remove. From Chat GPT code issue is the Commonwealth of Australia. What the?
Oh, we're not getting into that now. It's not even about this.
Yeah.
Is the Constitution 1900? Yes, will always be there. The Imperial Acts will make sure it's there anyway. The oath, it's there anyway. That's not what this is about tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, Darren did pop here in the background. I don't know if it was just a convenient way for him to watch the show, but sitting backstage to watch it. Or if you want to pop in and say
Hi,
g'day, Darren,
Darren.
and throw your 2 cents in, mate. Just turn your camera and your mic on if you feel inclined to drop in and say g'day and throw your 2
He's going
cents
to
in
pay
here,
out
mate.
on me for sure.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Darren, how are you, brother?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah,
you
not
got a
too bad.
moan,
I'm
Darren.
amused and entertained.
Sorry, what's that?
You got a moan.
Oh, yeah,
Moustache.
yeah. I grew it for you.
Oh,
You did it because it's a bit cold down there, didn't you?
Well, Batty inspired me. So yeah.
Ah.
But look, you were talking about sovereign citizens earlier, and it was interesting because the parliamentary debates that led up to the creation of the Constitution, Dr. Coburn said that parliamentary sovereignty is thrown overboard and sovereignty rests with the people. And whenever anyone makes the accusation that you're a sovereign citizen, one should ask whether they voted in the previous referendum, because it was the sovereign body of voters that came together to change or not change the Constitution. So that makes everybody in the nation who voted or votes in a referendum a sovereign citizen.
correct.
Interesting point of view.
And the
It's not a
sovereign
point of view, it's a fact.
got sovereignty
yeah.
from the people, not the public.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, look, you really have to look at those sorts of things. And you have to realise that there's a bit of a... Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to throw you, okay? And I'm not talking about you, just you, Heidi. I'm talking about everyone who goes to court, and they throw these things at people and they make the accusation that you're a sovereign citizen.
So,
And
Darren, just to
clearly-
clarify, never once in court have I ever been called a sovereign citizen. It's only Rob Sudi.
Oh, okay. It happens in court quite often with people.
Yeah, alrighty. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I've witnessed it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, there's ways to debunk those pathetic claims.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
word, pathetic. That's suits.
Well, they are. They're pathetic claims. They really are. And people need to realise, and especially people like Rob. Hi, Rob. How you doing? I know you're sitting here watching. Yeah, you need to realise that every single person that casts a vote in a Commonwealth election is taking part as the sovereign body of voters, and they, as citizens, are sovereign, and it's the power of that group of people that rules this country. And this is the thing that they don't want you to know. Okay, power is with the people.
Yep.
And that's the crux of it. Okay, and people
Just imagine if everyone in one
scared
town
of.
just said, "I'm not
This is
paying
what
my
they're
rates."
scared of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I think it was in the last election, there was a 30% swing towards minor parties, and they know. And apparently, there's some legislation that's about to be enacted, but after the election, which basically props up the two-party preferred system. But yeah, basically that's not going to happen until after the election, and it's basically, well, they're scared. They are simply scared because they know that after that throw from the last election, that it's probably going to happen again, and all you need is another 15%, and you will have independents and minority parties in Parliament, and that's when it's all going to end. And we've just seen this in America. And not that they're minority parties, but basically the people have voted against the leftist regime that's occurring in or across the world. It's starting to happen. It's starting to shift. If you notice, even the media are starting to change their attitude. Okay.
Yes.
And
Been a big
why
change.
is that? Why is that?
Because they may not have indemnity for what they've done.
Well, there's slow incremental changes, and they don't realize. Okay, they don't realize, or they do realize what's coming for them. And the thing is that the demographic, the main demographic of the population, are not going to put up with this rubbish. Okay, it's happening. It's happening in multiple countries across the world. And it will continue to happen, and it's going to happen in Australia in the next election. There's some amazing things that are about to occur, some amazing things that I've been privy to over the last week or two. There's certain things that are about to happen with certain minority parties, certain minority political figures, and all I can say is just keep your ear to the ground, because things are about to happen and your support is required. And I'm sure you'll get
Darren,
out there.
I just saw someone comment, and there is a fair comment that if you go against the status quo with what's happened through COVID and everything like that, that people are scared of the guns the police wear, and the way that it's being exposed everywhere. Everyone's filming the police now and seeing what's happening. Not all of them, but saying some pretty underhanded stuff. But I guess we've just got to keep pushing forward to the answer to that comment. Yes, there's been some very underhanded stuff happening, but we just can't let it happen. We've got to keep going.
Yeah, it's going to continue to happen. The media used to be undermining everybody and undermining political positions, and basically they were the fourth arm of government to a point, because I'm not sure if anyone realised, but it's my understanding that the media received a tax-free exemption through COVID.
Yep, they did.
And this was the catalyst for the media to push any sort of government position. And that's what they did. They were the ones that created, not created, but they were the ones that publicized and continued the fear campaign of the pandemic.
Yep.
And I hope people will wake up and see that can happen again, and people need to be vigilant. Eternal freedom is only brought about by vigilance, okay? You need to be vigilant, okay? You need to wake up and you need to see what is happening and where things are going, and people need to realize that you are the power, and you are the ones that can stop this, and you are the ones that can enhance this and bring about change. And that's all about to happen very, very, very soon.
And I think, and I was speaking to our dear friend Daryl, our all mutual friend, yesterday, and saying it's interesting because we all get inundated with phone calls and things like that. People are still looking for leaders, of someone that there's a lot of people doing some good stuff behind the scenes. They are looking for leaders, but you got to be your own leader, right?
100%.
You got to be your own leader and say, is this right? Is this moral? Is this whatever? I don't need to, just because the man on the hill decided to dance that way, I don't need to follow.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
a little bit of self-thought.
You got to look at ourselves, you know, and that
Man in the
moral
mirror.
stance. Well, if you're happy paying 32 cents in the dollar and excise tax and 89% of your $100 and every $100 that you earn, go ahead.
Mm.
Yeah, that may be the direct taxes, but what about the indirect taxes?
Yeah, so if every dollar it's $5, you know. So as a small business, if you don't go to work, they don't make money. If you don't do this, it's all dependent on the people, and it's not the public. Anderson versus Commonwealth. The public and the people are two different entities. The Crown and the King are two different entities.
Exactly, and people need to realise these statutory creations, these agencies, are not the Crown, and they are therefore not the government.
All of sovereign
They don't hold the benefits or the privileges of the Crown. They are like a standard corporation. Okay, they are susceptible to everything that every other corporation is.
Yep. The
And on
council's
that
not even
political
that.
note, even the Townsville Bulletin, which I'd consider, you know, one of the worst forms of information available to Townsvillians, you know, couldn't help but start to report this. ALP and NLP are two cheeks of the same arse sign that just happened to appear around Townsville. You know, of course, it's an inappropriate sign pops up. Why? Because it tells too much truth, and it does more for the general public than the Townsville Bulletin in one sign. I'm not sure. But, you know, I'll find it interesting that they'll put the A, take the two S's out here, and then leave the huge picture underneath it. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, seriously, just put the word in there and be done with it. We might have a little bit more respect for you. It's just North Queensland. Everybody talks like that, for fuck's sake.
So, Mark, you've got kids. There's the Andy Griffiths books that were the band. They're all over 60 minutes, and he got kids starting to read again. It was probably 15 years ago. And he wrote things like that on the kids' books, and they'd giggle, and then they'd go, I want another joke. I want another one, you know? And,
Well, see, I mean, you know, they tried to get rid of bloody Harry Potter for the same thing. It's, you know, witchcraft and horrible, nasty stuff, but they want to slip all this horrible gay stuff into the library and, you know, transgender ideologies into
just lost that. Yeah.
Like that stuff's okay, but you know, we can't say a little swear word here and there. But hey, by all means, all you lot mob, go dance naked down the street. Go for it. That's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Madness.
I guess Rob said he's had a little bit of a bollocking tonight. I hope that he remains and officially on this side. I'd like to say that I'm going to ask him to cease and desist immediately and stop his harassment, not just on myself but on other people. And I hope that he takes heed to that. He's going to find this very narcissistically hard to handle, because anything he publishes after this is now being publicised, it won't look good for him.
Definitely.
So he's Exhibit 11 in my case. We'll see what happens. He's not a good individual. He's certainly not an encyclopedia. He's certainly not here for the benefit or the goodness of the people, or to try and fix anything in the right manner. So bye, Rob. Don't be a Rob. Don't be Bob. Bob's a dick.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to add to our subject matter? Sorry, Darren, you're about to do it anyway.
Well, you know, look, all I can say is there's a lot of people out there that that basically in Australia promote this tall poppy syndrome, and that's basically all it is. There's a lot of knockers, you know, people are getting up there and having a go, and people are sitting back in their ivory towers and basically, having a go at people for making an effort. So, you know,
this is a lot of effort. It's not Heidi, just an effort.
It is a lot of effort. Yeah, as Heidi has said.
It's hours and thousands of hours of writing documents and then fessing up and whatever. It's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. As Heidi says, you know, people are getting out there and they're having or they're having to self-represent. And when you self-represent, there is a lot involved, and there is mistakes that people make. Okay. And you know, these narcissistic people that are, you know, getting together, you know, whether they be supported by government or judiciary. Who knows? I hope that's not the case. That there is a movement to, and when you do go into court, there is a bit of a position from the court that you cannot be self-represented. And there's various cases, in respect of that, that state that, but people need to be able to exercise the right to self-represent, whether it be, in the local courts or the high court. The judiciary needs to understand that people are being forced, okay, because of the unscrupulous costs involved with hiring a lawyer. And the way that the lawyers carry themselves in respect of self-represented litigants, it's completely disastrous what they're doing. There needs to be there needs to be a royal commission into it. Actually, it is an absolute joke what's happening at the moment in this area, and people need to band together, and they need to stand up, and they need to support each other, and they need to really get behind each other and basically stop allowing.
A friend of mine just went through a charge. I'm not going to bring any details into it. $142,000, and then they dismissed it at committal.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about.
$42,000, and then he had some subsidiary charges next to it, and they dropped him. They said, "Can you get community legal aid?" They didn't give a shit. They've left him on his ass.
You can look at cases like there was the recent Nick Patterson case, for example, and I think he got lumbered with about $250,000 worth of costs.
Who has that?
Sorry?
Who has that?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that the police or the county court judge showed and said that the police had erred in their actions, okay, and that Nick was not at fault. Yet he's lumbered and left with these particular costs because of the way that the legislation is shaped and written to allow for this to occur, where the Crown can basically back out, they can drag your name through the mud, they can make you defend yourself and get legal representation, and then at the last minute on the steps of the court when you're going to trial, they can pull out and you can't do anything.
Happened to me twice.
These things need to stop, okay?
Yeah.
Your name is dragged through the mud.
That's not justice.
No, that's a hit job.
So what's happening is the Parliament are writing laws to basically indemnify themselves from any liability. And this is the thing: you can't do that. You can't make false accusations about people, drag people through the courts, and then when they get to court and they've invested all of this money, all of a sudden they walk away and they say, "Oh no, we're not going to continue with the charges," and then that person's left with this huge legal bill. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, I had a matter that I was falsely arrested for. And I was actually like the whole matter from beginning to end is like 149 criminal matters that occurred in that arrest that wasn't real. So potentially I might have some private prosecutions in relation to that. And in writing a brief of evidence the other day, I actually reviewed the body-worn cameras, and this particular prosecutor, I'm going to say his name, Lachlan Perry, who indicated I had to call him Mr. Perry, he actually gave me the finger in court. He gave me the bird in court. Right?
Wow, professional.
That's how much, not a good guy. But at the end of watching this video footage, after 3 years, right, the whole ongoing circus of it, they pulled the trial 5 minutes before it started. And what you're saying, at the foot of the court, 5 minutes before it started. Pulled it after 2.5 years. 3 trials were set down, vacated, and sat down. I watched the video footage, and this prosecutor's in the police station, and he high fives the guy that interviewed me. That they didn't have anything to prosecute me. I'm in tears, crying, whatever. Like, what do you mean? I didn't really understand what was going on. and they high-fived each other and celebrated my arrest. Well, I'm literally nearly vomiting, needed to, I'm like, I'm having an anxiety attack. What's happening? This
Well,
can't
where's
be
that
real.
empathy?
They pulled
There
it
is none.
2.5 years, 5 minutes before trial was to start. On
Yeah.
the third trial, the adjournment of the third trial. But I've seen this high five now, and I just say that couldn't be more malicious if you had any more evidence if you tried.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
potentially there's some movements in motion on that regard.
I mean, on the note, to tie it a little bit, the change, political change. Here's something I've seen from good old Senator Rennick the other day that might be. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I believe it's going to be relevant to what we're talking about here.
I reply because I know that the Labor Party pushed back on my idea of having an independent judicial commission, despite the fact that they themselves support it. But I think that we have seen many cases of whereby judges are making decisions that, as one good friend of mine, who himself is a solicitor that contacted me out of the blue, said, judges are being intellectually dishonest. And, I know in the case there with the recent case with Senator Hanson, I have serious issues about that. Free speech is free speech. But anyway, I know that may go back to court, so I won't say anything more about that at the moment. But I do think that we desperately need someone to hold the judges to account in Australia. They don't have any oversight whatsoever. I've heard stories of some judicial decisions taking years to be handed down. So that has cost the people involved in those court cases a lot of money. And so, yeah, I would ask that the Labor Party support this motion. I think in general they do support a judicial commission, but for some reason they don't want to have an inquiry into it. But I think we need to have an inquiry into it, and I would like to see the Labor Party bring this forward as policy before the next election. I think if they really wanted to clean up judicial integrity in this country, that they would pass the legislation. What are we waiting for, guys? Let's bring it on. Thank you.
So, it looks like we've got a couple of good people in Parliament at the moment, just not enough like that.
So, Darren, do you want to say, or no, you were both smiling because I haven't seen that. So, I bought a case against the Commonwealth of Australia and Marie Faruqi to the High Court in regards to what Rennick just said there, Coleman versus Power, and the first comeback from the High Court, which Robert Sooty's degraded me for as well. The first one came back and said Justice Elderman was not a Commonwealth judicial officer. Was that right, Darren? Commonwealth judicial officer. And the second round of that came back and said it was frivolous and vexatious because there's already an appeal in process. And Robert Sooty's taken that to town in all those links. So what Rennick's saying is 100% that decision in the Hanson case, 100% is incorrect, but nobody at the High Court seems to want to take it. I put my hand up.
Yeah, look, I saw that response, and what the response was from the court was that justices of the High Court are not Commonwealth officers, and one needs to ask themselves, if they're not Commonwealth officers,
it's in writing.
Who the heck are they?
Yeah. It's a very good question. I mean, like his post here goes in a little bit more. I'm just going to bring that up. So again, what I found interesting, instead of wasting 40 million on the voice referendum, they could have been much more effective by holding the judges to account. It's well known that our judiciary is riddled with judges, and I want to make sure that it's stated that it's not me stating this. This is coming from our Senate here in Queensland. It's well known that our judiciary is riddled with judges who at the very least are intellectually dishonest and at worst are very corrupt.
I
feedback
second that.
from solicitors and barristers that many are also lazy, taking months to years to hand down their decisions and failing to actually investigate the facts of the case. That is absolutely disgraceful. If that statement is true, I don't
It's
really doubt the
100%
good
true.
senator.
Yep.
He's one of the few senators that, when rolling through town here, will always take the time to stop in and say g'day and have a yarn. So I've got all the time in the world for Jenna Drenning.
Yeah, it's interesting that those sorts of comments are being raised, and one needs to raise their eyebrows and take note, and hopefully the good senator can make a change in that area.
Mm. If he had stayed with the Liberal Party and he was running the show, I might actually consider voting for him the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite an interesting barrage that is coming in the near future. So people need to get out there and support what's about to happen. There's not too much to say.
We can't really get into that at the present moment, but when that bomb drops, I'd love to have you come back on and tell us a little bit more about that as soon as it hits.
We'll bring some guests as well.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Love to. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Good shit to come. So obviously you can't say too much
to a break.
about that. Oh wow.
No, we're not going to break. It's Friday night. We're gonna go. We've got to get a life.
Yeah, we should go out and find some friends.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to keep you hanging. Some things need to take the natural course. So we'll see how things going.
Now,
I'm sorry about the phone and all of that. I'm trying to work it out. I'll get this tech savvy thing happening one day.
That's all right. I'll take the time to come down and see you at some stage, Heidi, and I'll teach you a couple of tricks.
Sounds good.
It's, we can share a few ideas around as we go, because one thing I do well is generally technology. I might even bring a guitar and I'll teach you to play, and you can get some of that
good luck with that.
unkept anger out, by strumming the shit out of the guitar.
Yeah.
Love it.
I did do guitar lessons. I do have a version of ADHD. Potentially that's why I'm so honed in on all this stuff. And I was put in guitar lessons when I was younger, and they said, you can't sing, you can't do anything musical, go away and learn something else.
I was told the same thing. You know what I did? Taught myself.
Yeah.
It worked out a lot better. And so I don't teach people, how to play so much. I teach them how to teach themselves.
I'll do the
It's
bongos.
a very different strategy. Yeah, I got a set of bongos. We can do that.
Yeah, happy to do that. I'm good with bongos. Yeah, that'll be good.
No worries. All right, we'll work with that.
Mark, Heidi, I've got to bid ye farewell. I have a 9:30 call.
Me too.
Summons, so I hope to see you both very soon. And
I reckon we can arrange something.
Definitely. Good to see you both.
Likewise. Thanks heaps for popping in, mate.
I'm over now too, Mark.
No worries. Thank you very much for coming in, Heidi and Darren. It's been great having both of you here. And I think everybody's on the edge of their seat waiting for the next bomb to drop. So
yeah.
Stay
and
tuned,
everyone,
ladies and
just
gentlemen.
keep up the fight, keep up the high energy, keep up the integrity, smile at people that are narcissists, don't give them your energy, and just keep going. There's never been a time in history where more people have questioned who's in charge.
At least not in this country, anyway.
No. All right. Ciao for now.
No worries. See you later, guys. Thanks heaps for coming in. Bye. See you later, Darren. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our show today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned a lot. It's always good. We got a good show going when the trolls are coming out in droves like that. It was amazing to see, and I want to thank them for their wonderful support and their astounding display of what narcissism looks like in a podcast from the wonderful trolls themselves. But they need to go get a copy of that book Billy Goat Gruff, because that's what happens to you in the end. So look, as much as I appreciate it and all, just can't have you mucking things up. It's just a pain in the ass, and that's all you are. You're a pain in the ass. You're a pimple on the ass. Much actually, it's funny. Like the Townsville Bulletin jumping up and down about the two cheeks of the same ass, which is a pretty common comment. But I was talking to a bloke today before I even seen that post. A couple of people actually said it today, funny enough, that the Liberal and the Labor Party are the same pimple on the same ass. Perhaps there's one pimple on each ass cheek, and just that they just like the infection just inflames depending on which one's in fucking power at the time. Perhaps that might be another way of looking at it, just to make it just that little bit more gross. And you can make it even more gross by moving the location of that pimple depending on how far you want to take that. But that's a horrible image to leave you with, so I'd rather leave you with something a little bit more positive. Sips, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed your Friday night. Jason, you nearly got me there. Hemorrhoids. My God. That's a good one. Cheers, brother. And thank you, Adrian. Much appreciated, man. No worries. T2. Who else we got here? Zusi. Not a problem. It's always a pleasure. Robin Show is on at 10 p.m. Sydney time, which is 11 here, I think. Did I get that right? No, or is it 9? I don't know. Either way, we're calling it a bit early tonight, so it's a short one. It's an hour and a half one. Perhaps it'll get a few more views. I don't know. Like it's interesting. It's actually got quite a few viewers, which is really good. Oh yeah, one more thing. It's good to see a few people on. Actually, no, there's no one now. There was somebody there from on the Cafe Locked Out channel there. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not sure how much longer we've got with the Cafe Locked Out social media site. At the end of the day, people don't seem to be using it very much. Excuse me. I'm probably guilty of it myself. I tend to not use social media a great deal anyway, outside of, sort of searching for bits and pieces and stuff. I'm not one for getting caught down in conversations and playing games and doing all that sort of stuff. Boredom sets into the boring mind, and my mind is far from boring. And I can tell you what, I'm actually, one more thing. That's right. My friend Adrian is doing a really good event tomorrow. I'm one of the few people who have signed up so far on neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a meditative thing. So for those of you in Townsville, give me a second to just quickly bring this up, because I meant to do it earlier, but wow, what can I say? I had a bit of a meltdown myself when things weren't working right today, and I got a bit distracted. So let me just find this event yet again through the treasure trove of stuff that gets sent to me. It will take just a moment, but these are good blokes, good people, and where is it? Attachment unavailable. Looks like the event may be full. Actually, no, hang on. I think I was just looking at a different thing. Actually, this is a good video. I'm going to punch it into the thing. This is a little bit of Adrian's work. You can have a look at that. If those of you who are still bored and want to, and nothing better to do with your time at the moment, I'm going to punch that into Telegram as well. Adrian is a good bloke. He's helped me out with a few motivational constructs, and Ben has also helped me out with a few things as far as things like breath work and that go, which I've found to be very therapeutic, particularly those of you out there who are perhaps struggling with certain things and don't feel comfortable about just talking to it. Meditation is a great way of doing things. Inner Light Meditation is a great place to go in Townsville as well. Great people. 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 Great people Yeah, that's going way back. So I'm way out of time here. Yeah, I'm having a feeling that the yeah, I have a feeling the event is closed at this point. So sorry, I tried to give you a plug, Adrian, but it turns out guess you must have all the numbers you need. So I'm going to do some neurolinguistic programming and a bit of meditation tomorrow. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Are you able to video it? I'm not sure what you mean. Have you heard about the mosquito-driven Murray Valley encephalitis outbreak in North Queensland? What a coincidence! I did hear a little bit about that actually. I was going to have a quick look at it, Wayne. I have heard about it. Look, it is an amazing coincidence that that shit and all the other shit happened as soon as we did that podcast. And that's Wayne from the What the Fuck show. If you haven't gone to Cafe Lockdown or to their What the Fuck channel themselves and checked it out, you probably should. It's pretty funny. It's I get a good kick out of it. Whether I'm on it or not, it's always a good view. So, but yeah, we dropped that bombshell on how they were perhaps going to start fucking with mosquitoes, thanks to our good friend Bill Gates. And before you know it, bang, article after article about how mosquitoes are dangerous and we need to do these things. Again, ruling by fear, mind virus, fucking with you. Fear is the mind killer. So don't let it dominate you. Yeah, it's amazing. You don't need to be a prophet to know these things these days. Yeah, once upon a time they might have dropped to their knees and went, "Oh my god, they predicted it." Speaking of predictions, actually, I was going to do this in another podcast, but I don't know that I'm going to get time because of the shit we got going on. So Sunday, I've got Ian Cook coming on to tell us about Sluggate down in Victoria. So you guys definitely want to tune in for that one. It's going to be a corker. But there was another one actually. I don't think I've even got it ready yet. Let me have a quick squiz. A comment made by our good mate Elon. I don't know if he's our mate or not. It's hard. It's hard to judge. It's hard to judge. He could be onto something. He might not be. Give me a second to find it. But you'll probably remember that on many occasions I have suggested. And I'm pretty sure I actually suggested on the What the Fuck show as one of the many places I've suggested it, that AI will go insane because the woke mind virus is so riddled with contradictions and things that make no sense, and all the other absolutely ludicrous shit that is being pumped into the internet. If all the information pumped into the internet is what its mind is going to be, then it's going to be fractured at the very best. And it would seem that I'm not finally Elon's caught on to what I've been saying for a long fucking time. So just give me a sec, because fuck, that man posts a lot of shit. It was a good video and a good little post. I just got to find it again. Sorry. Holy shit, we're only 4 hours ago. My God. This was a day or so ago. It might be quicker to go through my bloody notes. My God. Man, he played. Got a lot of time for X, the old Elon. I wish I had that much time. Truth. I find it, I swear. Impromptu ideas. Sips while we're waiting. No, it's truth. It's got to be in my notes quicker. Might be that one. Hey, look, it's a bit off skew, but look, it'll do while I try to find this other thing. Give me a sec. You should be able to hear that, but apparently you can't. I'm not sure why. I put the bloody microphone in front of the speakers as a backup plan. All right, things aren't working out as I had hoped. So at the end of the day, look, I'll have to try again at a later date. But at the end of the day, just take my word for it. Go and have a look at Elon's page and see if you can find it, because at the end of the day, while I fumble around desperately trying to pick things out that I haven't got ready yet, look, at the end of the day, Elon agrees. The woke mind virus is possibly going to do some serious damage to the mindset of AI. And it looks like, I'm a bit smarter than I thought. So, if Elon agrees, I must be onto something. I wonder if he thought of it first. I don't know. Any indication of Elon saying that before I did? I'd like to know. Anyway, thanks heaps for coming and watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the evening. One more sips before we part. Hard-earned thirst deserves a good cold beer, and the best cold beer is homemade. Because it's a darn side cheaper, and I can control how much goes in it, and the government can go get effed. Rally in WA tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Parliament steps against the offshore wind turbines, says Rachel Healy. So, yeah, jump onto that one. Grok told him. Maybe it was all the use I had with Grok, that inspired that thought. I don't know. But, yeah. I have found Grok to be one of the least disturbed of the AI generation machines, but I still have to teach it too. So it's kind of like dealing with an autistic child. I've found is one way of kind of looking at AI at the moment, and I just hope it doesn't get pumped with a whole bunch of weird woke shit. So anyway, sorry, I swore again. I promised I'd stop, but I just can't help it. It's just ingrained in me, especially work with the people I work with. It's just how it works, and. I can interpret for you as I lip read as I'm deaf. Okay, Zusi, cool. You could write that into the comments for people later. Anyway, no worries, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, Sunday. I think I picked a time. I think I'd be a little bit more prepared by now, but yeah, it just makes it a little bit more exciting, I guess. So we're scheduled for 11 o'clock Queensland time. You can figure that out for your own time zone, because I don't live there. I don't need to know. So 11 o'clock Queensland time, Slug Gate, be there or be a slug. See ya.